It is needless to say that Millet's discussion of what she calls a fear of otherness of woman is clearly Beauvoir's innovative term. Even Millet's discussion of Freud and his theory of castration echoes Beauvoir's detailed analysis and criticism of psychoanalysts' view toward women. Millet's discussion that the uneasiness and disgust female genitals arouse in patriarchal societies is attested through religious, cultural, and literary proscription is just a part of Beauvoir's lengthy analysis of the difference between myth and reality concerning the feminine body. Concerning political and economic position of women that Beauvoir highlights in the introduction to The Second Sex, Millet in her turn discusses the same point, citing examples and statistics to illustrate man's dominance in such fields. Again, like Beauvoir's explanation of the term human, man and woman, Millet sheds light on this idea of patriarchal language, considering that despite all the customary pretense that man and humanity are terms which apply equally to both sexes, the fact is that the male is favored more often. A final similarity worth mentioning between the two books is the image of women in literary works. It is true that Beauvoir, unlike Millet, does not muse on this issue with detailed examples, as Millet does, yet she discusses it enough to make her point. Criticizing the unrealistic image given to women in the gallant 19th century, Beauvoir criticizes the savage indictments hurled against women throughout French literature. Echoing Virginia Woolf in A Room of One's Own and the Professions for Women, while exploring women's literature in the West, Beauvoir tries to unearth the reasons why no woman has written books such as The Trial, Moby Dick, Ulysses, or Seven Pillars of Wisdom in a patriarchal society. What limits women to be as great as the few male artists is not a special destiny for Beauvoir. It's rather lack of liberty. To Beauvoir, art, literature, philosophy are attempts to found the world anew on a human liberty, that of the individual creator. So she wonders how someone who is deprived of liberty, restricted by education and custom, and whose attempts to find one's place in this world are too arduous, would be able to achieve such a task of recreating the world. Undoubtedly, Millet's discussion of the issue is more comprehensive while criticizing Norman Mailer, Henry Miller, and D.H. Lawrence, trying to illustrate men writers' use of sex to degrade and undermine women. In a rare reference to Beauvoir, and while discussing what she calls Lawrence's insistence on celebration of the penis and on inherent female masochism, Millet says, "It is no wonder Simone de Beauvoir shrewdly observed that Lawrence spent his life writing guidebooks for women. The similarities are too clear to need a comment." However, though remarkable, groundbreaking, and unprecedented, The Second Sex has caused an ambivalent response in France. While some consider it the Bible of feminism, others attack it as masculinist, especially in relation to its controversial accounts of biological sex and motherhood. Yet, the psychoanalytic writer Elizabeth Rodinescu, for example, asserts that Beauvoir is the first thinker in France to link explicitly the question of sexuality with political emancipation. The well-known feminist Tora Lemois has highly contributed to this recognition of Beauvoir's achievements and her influence on radical and contemporary feminism. Mois argues that, although The Second Sex was a source of inspiration and insight for countless women, even before the women's movement, major writers of the women's movement, in her words, Betty Friedan, Kate Millet, and German Greer barely mention Beauvoir, as if to deny the influence of a threatening mother figure. While other dominant French theorists, such as Hélène Cixous and Luce Irigaray, were openly hostile to Beauvoir. In this respect, Alice Holland quotes Moi writing, "By becoming intellectuals, such women have made themselves the true daughters of Beauvoir. No wonder that many have felt the need to separate themselves from such a powerful mother, amigo." Briefly and directly, Moi insists that everyone who cares about freedom and justice for women should read The Second Sex. Now the question, what was Beauvoir's reaction to all this? In an interview in Society with John Girassi in 1976, what was Beauvoir's reaction to this? Let's see. In an interview in Society with John Girassi in 1976, Beauvoir mentions the neglect she receives from some feminist writers, and she mentions Kate Millet as an example. Without showing any blame or anger, she modestly says that such feminists may have become feminists for the reasons I explain in The Second Sex, but they discovered those reasons in their life experiences, not in my book. Surprisingly enough, in Beauvoir and The Second Sex, Margaret Simons quotes Millet saying 19 years after publishing her book that she couldn't have written sexual politics without The Second Sex, and that she says, "Now I realize that I was probably cheating all over the place." To conclude, the purpose of showing the influence of Beauvoir on Millet's sexual politics is not to underestimate Millet's remarkable work or to cast doubts on her artistic talent and potential, as the role she has played in the development of the feminist movement and feminist theory is undeniable. What this comparison has tried to do is to show that Beauvoir's innovative ideas and her monumental analysis of women's conditions, though aggressively criticized by some feminists and other critics, have definitely, as Romain Leake says, established the theoretical underpinning of modern feminism. If this and many other similar testimonies mean something, it is that Beauvoir's influence is not limited to Kate Millet, but it extends to other feminists of various strands and interests. Despite all criticism, Vincent Leach asserts that The Second Sex, revolutionary in its own time, offers a powerful analysis of the status of women and remains a foundational text for feminist theory. No matter how positively or negatively Beauvoir's role in feminist movement and feminist literary criticism is seen, hardly is there a serious academic study on feminism without acknowledging Beauvoir's essential role as a turning point, not only in academic and literary studies, but in the position of women as well. After Beauvoir, it would not be that easy to ignore women's writings again and shunt them off the mainstream. Nor would Shakespeare's sister, imagined by Virginia Woolf in a room of one's own, have gone mad or killed herself without being able to write any word, as she would in a misogynistic patriarchal world of the past. In a word, we do not exaggerate when we say Beauvoir is indisputably the mother of modern feminism. Thank you very much. God bless you.